like, yeah, you're right. It's not going to happen the first time. But, I went to the gym last month. Why haven't I changed? I don't get it. What's wrong?
I had a salad yesterday. Why aren't I 100
Yeah,
pounds?
exactly. I mean, that's sort of the mindset. And what
Yeah.
people don't understand is
Oh my gosh.
this is
Wow.
spiritual work.
The Spiritual Shitshow Podcast with Suzanne Soul, episode 28.
Hello, all you stunning stunners, and welcome to the Spiritual Shitshow Podcast, where we get into the whirlwind tour the healing and spiritual awakening journey can be. I'm your host, Suzanne Soul, comedian, lifelong spiritual student, and I'm sharing the sparkling gems I've learned along my journey that have helped me and that I hope help you too. So, wish you could ask all those fancy folks like ministers, therapists, artists, coaches, content creators, and the like your deepest and most burning questions, but you just don't have the time? Well, be vexed no more, because I'm introducing Asking for a Friend, a recurring series I'm bringing into the Spiritual Shit Show podcast, where I bring in amazeballs humans like ministers, therapists, artists, content creators, and the like to help us all unpack the shit show of healing and spiritual awakening. I'll be asking those big, messy, deeply human questions we all wrestle with. And I'm not just asking for myself. I'm asking for a friend. And that's you. You're the friend. So welcome to my first installment of the Asking for a Friend series. And in this episode, I will be talking with my guest and friend, Rev Mark Anthony Lord. Mark received his ministerial ordination from the Agape International Spiritual Center, is the founder of the Bodhi Spiritual Center and Cityside Spiritual Community in Chicago. He's coached spiritual leaders, written books, and he once forgave someone who stole his light-up disco Jesus statue. Okay, I made that one up, but in all honesty, he probably would. Mark has referred to himself as a forgiveness junkie. So I thought, who better to talk to us about, that's right, folks, our good friend, forgiveness. You heard it. The one word that makes your chest tighten, your butt cheeks clench, and your eyeballs roll so hard you see your own karma. Let's be real. Talking about forgiveness is a bit like talking about kale. Everyone says it's good for you, but nobody really wants to chew on that shit. In theory, it sounds enlightened and lovely, like something you do after a yoga class while sipping on cucumber water and floating 3 inches off the ground. But in real life, forgiveness is more like emotional CrossFit. It hurts, it's awkward, and sometimes you get a cramp during the process. Now, depending on who you ask, forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, a divine act of grace, a psychological release, a way to stay out of prison, or, as one friend of mine put it, that thing I'll get around to once I finish being absolutely furious. Now, listen, if you're already like, ugh, no thanks. I'm still mad at Todd from 2011, and I'm not about to give that up. Don't worry, you're in good company. I mean, we've all been there. Some people say forgiveness is freedom. Others say it's codependency dressed up in spiritual language. Some people say, I forgive, but I never forget, which sounds suspiciously like keeping receipts. So what actually is forgiveness? Is it something we do for ourselves, the other person, for humanity? Is it the final act of a healing process? Or the thing that actually starts it? According to A Course in Miracles, forgiveness is the means by which we will remember. Through forgiveness, the thinking of the world is reversed. And Buddha said, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Ouch. And then there's Jack Kornfield, who says, forgiveness is giving up all hope of a better past. Which, yeah, that one hits. So if you've ever wondered, do I have to forgive that one toxic ex? Can I forgive someone and still talk shit about them in the group chat? What if I'm the one who needs forgiving, but I also think I was kinda right? Strap in, because this episode is about busting the myths and getting real about forgiveness. We're going to unpack this layered, tender spiritual concept And I'm bringing in an actual expert because while I'm out here making jokes about trauma and lighting candles for my inner child, there are people out there who have studied this shit. So let's chitty chat about forgiveness with Rev Mark Anthony Lord right now. Mark Anthony Lord.
I'm so happy to be here with you, Suzanne Soul.
Oh my God, I'm beyond happy that we're here together because I have learned so much from you and you are such a part of my spiritual journey. So I decided that I wanted to talk about something with you that I think it's a conversation that you can keep having over and over and over again because it is such a place for people to learn and grow because it is challenging, and that is forgiveness.
Yeah.
So I want to just start with this. What do you think causes people to want to run for the hills when it is suggested to them to forgive?
There's two reasons why. Because one, when people it's suggested to people, they don't know what it means. It's a vague idea, but the inherent understanding of it within culture is, well, just suck it up and get over it, or leads people to this deflated or disempowered idea. So that's the superficial level. But let's talk about the deep level of why people run from forgiveness. Because when you really commit to a forgiveness practice, like as a way of life, it will transform you. And one of the main things you have to give up is being right. You have to give up being right about your future. You have to give up being right about your identity. You have to give up being right about the other person. Like you have to give up so much. Yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute! What are you saying? What are you saying to me?
You started here. This is your fault.
OMG. Yeah. And let me just say, a lot of times when we hear someone saying something like, oh, you just want to be right, I think that can be seen in such a shallow way.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about a deep wound,
Yeah.
the need to be right is the need to be seen that you were hurt.
Okay.
And I think those are confusing.
So good. So you can be right about this happened.
Yeah.
Yes, 10 years ago, the dog bit me.
Yeah.
You can be right about that.
Yeah.
But what you need to give up is the story that you've made up about yourself, about dogs, about everything that is related to that. What you give up is your identity that got collapsed with the experience. I had a mom that was not available, abusive.
Yeah.
I'm right about that in the story of it. But I have made a lot of decisions about myself, about life, about relationship.
Right.
There's so many layers that live inside of trauma that we collapse our identity with, our understanding of the world with. That's what gets healed through forgiveness. All our layers of identification, all our layers of safety, of security. We release our trauma, and in the releasing of the trauma through the practice of forgiveness, we reestablish the connection with our spiritual identity. That identity isn't hurt, it isn't harmed, it isn't injured. It stays as a pureness, an essence of who you are. Your essence is restored, but you got to give up all of those things that keep you from believing that you are your essence.
I love the idea of healing your trauma through forgiveness,
Yeah.
but I would like to unpack that a little bit because I think that, again, in our culture, so many times I think we misunderstand forgiveness and it turns into something of like, it's okay. What my pain and my trauma and my lifelong, the shit I went through, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so I love the idea of healing our trauma through forgiveness. That is radical. And so I just want to hear, like, how does that work mechanically?
Well, first of all, I'm going to kind of deal a blow back. So it really does ultimately say all of that story doesn't matter.
Okay.
It really does, because
Sure.
and again, we need to understand that from a deep level.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to the wholeness of your being. It's not going to hold that as true about you, and it's not going to hold that as true about the other person. It's
Right.
going to free you from that. And this is the challenge. We
Yeah.
nurse our stories. We cuddle with them at night. We use them as how we relate to people. So it's like what people hear is, I don't matter.
Right.
That's why it gets painful. Like, because
Right.
like, wait a minute. Then you're saying that I don't matter, that this happened to me and that doesn't matter. It's like, no, 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 no. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. You matter so much that all we
Right.
want for you is your freedom.
Wow.
You matter so much that we want you
Wow.
to shed that story and rise
Holy
up
shit.
into who you are. That's what forgiveness can do.
My brain just exploded.
And we've only been here for
By
6
what you
minutes.
just I know, but I don't want to brush over that because I think that is really going to speak to so many people. It's not that you don't matter.
Yeah.
I think we are so enmeshed in making meaning about ourselves from the story being seen or not seen or
Yeah.
ever being heard and all of that. And, not that there's not a place for that, but I mean, I truly, I've had an enlightenment just in 6 minutes in, I'm enlightened.
That's all, folks.
Back to you, Mom. I mean, seriously, like if anybody, when you listen to this, just think about that. Think about what he just said. That is, I'm sorry, I'm just so blown away.
No, I love it
Truly.
because and here the other part. This is how much you do matter. You matter so much that you deserve freedom at the
Mm.
deepest level. I
Yeah.
was sitting in a treatment center, 24 years old,
Yeah.
up in Canada. I'm just like completely lost in life, destroying myself. And I'm leaving my counselor's office about 2 weeks into being there. And
Mm.
she stopped me and she said, "Hey, Mark, you need to learn how to forgive
Mm.
or you're going to die."
Oh my God.
That
Whoa.
pierced my soul. And that changed the trajectory of my entire life. I
Yeah.
did therapy. I did
Yeah.
group. I did workshops. I applied everything in my life to heal. And forgiveness was one of the major tools.
And I just want to say that that person that said that to you, like to be told something like that in that way had to have pierced your soul.
I don't even think she knew the profound impact
Right.
those words
She
would
just
have.
she was probably just like spurred on to
Yep.
say that to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I may have walked out and she was like, "Why did I say that?"
exactly. She was probably like, Sharon, don't say shit like that out loud.
Right.
Oh my God.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
that's
But
incredible. I know that is such a large part of your work and your ministry. And so that's why I want to have this conversation with you
Yeah.
about forgiveness, something that you have put so much focus into. And I've learned so much from you about because it is a struggle. So, how do we use forgiveness to heal trauma?
we disconnect the I, the identity of the part of you that thinks you do forgiveness. I have to forgive. I should forgive. People say to you, you should forgive. You should just let that go.
Right.
You don't, you can't, you don't know how. It's not yours to do.
Got it.
Forgiveness is a mystical something that is done unto you.
Mhm.
And you know this, Einstein,
Yes.
you can't solve the problem at the level of the problem.
Right.
So the I that is trapped in the pain, trapped in the trauma, trapped in the story, that can't do it.
Right.
So don't even expect it to. Free yourself from even thinking you can. Now you do have a part in it coming up, but I want to first say that like that's important. And the analogy I use is if you fall down a 30-foot hole walking down the street, you don't beat yourself up because you can't climb 30 feet straight up.
Right.
You ask for help. You just shout out, someone hears you, they see you down the hole and they help you get up. That's a good way to think about forgiveness. We're stuck in this low vibrational story. I can't get myself out of it. And
Yeah.
people really beat themselves up about that.
Oh, yeah.
And that I don't, if anything, please don't do that. Our
Mhm.
part is to act.
Okay, I'll stop.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Second revelation for Suzanne. We ask. I ask that forgiveness set me free.
Yeah.
Asking is the power that opens the universe. When you ask, it means you're willing. When you ask, it means that there's a part of you that's available for a new idea, something to shift. We don't ask if we don't want to know or grow.
Yeah.
Ask and it is given.
Right.
This is really what it's about. So I ask that forgiveness set me free. If there's another person involved, I say, I ask that forgiveness set me and this other person
Okay,
free.
I have a question.
Yes, please, in the back row.
Yes. Hello, hi, Carol from Kew Gardens.
Kew Garden.
So I wanted to say, what comes up for me is I love what you're saying. And I also want to kind of put this thought forward and how can we get around this, which is a lot of us who have been in trauma or have deep wounds, it's a very hard for us to open to help
Hmm.
and to open to, we might even ask the question out loud. It might be, please help me. But there's something inside that is walled off.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's, I think, where sometimes I have gotten really stuck where I'm like, I'm praying, but there's something in me that's like, no.
Yes. But here's the deal to that. And this is a problem with our culture and the way we think about things. When I say ask, I mean ask 1,000 times and 1,000 times more, because it's more like shaving
Wow.
layers of ice with an ice scraper.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
yeah, you're right. It's not going to happen the first time. But I went to the gym last month. Why haven't I changed? I don't get it. What's wrong?
I had a salad yesterday. Why aren't I 100
Yeah,
pounds?
exactly. That's sort of the mindset. And
Yeah.
what people don't understand is
Oh my gosh.
this is
Wow.
spiritual work. This is asking 1,000 times and 1,000 times more. And I say, when people say, well, how long do I have to forgive? Until it's done.
OMG.
And the more you do it, the more it will become your foundation.
Ugh.
Little things will disappear. And then there might be kind of a chronic process that's through your whole lifetime. You
Oh my
might be
gosh.
forgiving the whole fucking lifetime. So what? That's your work.
Right.
That's your work. Keep
Incredible.
doing it. Keep doing it. And
Oh my God.
yeah.
Another moment. You have blown me away.
This quick fix culture, like, well, I forgave yesterday. Well, good. That's awesome. Why don't you do it today?
And also, let me just say another layer of that quick fix culture
Yeah.
is also kind of an easily discouraged culture.
Because the saying, people give up and don't give up in the 11th hour. People give up on forgiveness in the second hour.
Yeah.
Like they don't even make it to hour 5
Yeah.
with forgiveness because of what you're talking about. Forgiveness is a spiritual practice, and spirit will not intrude if you are afraid.
Yes.
It will wait patiently. It will hold space. It will chip away gently when you're available. And as soon as it touches the fear nerve, it backs off and it gives breath. It will not move you. It won't force you because it is graceful, it's gentle, and it loves you.
Mm.
So yeah, you gotta let the layers come off. But this is what happens if you look at the longer game. You do forgiveness, and suddenly there's a new therapist in your life. Suddenly you
Yeah.
discover a 12-step program. Suddenly things are shifting. Like you won't connect the dots,
Mm.
immediately. But the person who keeps committed to a practice of forgiveness over time, man,
Wow.
things shift and dots connect.
I mean, that is just absolutely incredible. And I like almost makes me feel like we could go all the way back to the very first thing you said, which was, it doesn't mean you don't matter. And I
Oh,
think that is such a big piece of why we give up, is because we're like, well, that's evidence that I don't matter.
yep. Yep. Well, that's the thing. The ego's just using the ego as the fear-based
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
The fear-based mind will do all its tricks to convince you that you're unworthy, that you don't matter, that you don't belong,
Mm.
that you're not good enough. That's all the stuff that disappears through the practice of forgiveness. So now you're looking at why people don't want to do it,
Yeah.
because it changes you at such a deep level. Back of all of these suffering overlays is phenomenal. And there is a time, Suzanne, people do need to let that story cry out in them
Yeah.
and do what it needs to do. But I want you to do it with someone who's holding the right consciousness for it,
Right.
so that it's being done for your healing.
Someone who's openly, non-judgmentally holding space for you to process your emotion.
Yeah.
So when somebody's doing their forgiveness work and they're coming back to it again and again, what are some tools that they can use?
So here's the deal. You can begin your day with just closing your eyes and saying for 3 minutes, I ask that forgiveness set me free.
Mm.
Breathe it in, breathe it out. 3 minutes. You're establishing the container for it. You're going to go into your day. All kinds of shit is going to happen throughout your day. All good. when you think of it, you'll just restore your mind with this. I ask that forgiveness set me free. I ask that forgiveness set me free because something got triggered here. I'm seeing a world that's angry. I'm upset. I'm irritated, whatever it is.
Right.
So that's number one. But when it comes to forgiving like the big rocks
Yeah.
in your life, the mom stuff, the dad stuff, the abuse
Right.
stuff, the trauma
Yes.
stuff,
Right.
this is the second part of the forgiveness work, is to refrain from the story.
Okay.
Refrain from talking about it. Ask to shift your mind to something, get present.
Do you think that bringing in the idea of what you shared earlier of when you're giving up the story, you're not saying it's not that it doesn't matter because I don't matter. It's
Absolutely.
that, I matter and I want to be free from this story. Yeah.
If you need to tell the story so that you're witnessed and heard and validated, then
Yeah.
find the right person and tell it with every cell of your body.
Yes.
Tell it and consume yourself with it and let it rip through you to be validated and seen.
Yeah.
I'm talking about now that let's say we're past that.
Yeah.
Now we're breaking the habit of thinking
ruminating.
about it.
Yeah.
It's more the thinking habit and the believing habit.
I have been through many therapy sessions. I've had incredible breakthroughs, incredible healing, incredible feelings, getting my feelings and my pains and my wounds out. And I do find that if I'm not watchful or if I'm really tired or if I feel stressed, I will go
Yeah.
to that place. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I here? Why am I
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, and sometimes we just gotta let ourselves be there and ride it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm on the wave, just ride the wave.
Yeah.
You learn that to understand that it'll end. But also in those times, and it's more like in the day to day, you'll become aware of like when you go out to lunch with a girlfriend or you're having coffee and like how you tell your story about who you are.
Right.
Which means every time I go back and entertain the trauma story, I'm kind of re-triggering it in my
Right.
experience. So if you
Yes.
do that, if it gets you, if it takes you under, you just go back to step one. I ask that forgiveness set me free.
Yeah.
I ask that forgiveness set me free.
Yeah.
There's only 2 steps to this game.
I love that because I have been revisiting Joseph Campbell's work.
I saw that in
And
one of your posts. I was like, oh, I love this.
And one of the things that really speaks to kind of like what you're saying is that, the mind thinks it's running the show, but it needs to submit to the energy and the life of the whole human being in the body.
Yeah.
I think especially in our culture, we're so
Mm.
about thinking and controlling and figuring out. So when I hear you saying something as beautiful as surrendering it to the part of us that is so transcendent, we don't even have words for it,
Mhm.
is speaks to me so deeply. And I also know my own challenges with it, which is my brain wants to be like, hold my beer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and this is where I feel so blessed because having been in 12-step program and bottomed out, I know what it's like to have some kind of higher power save my ass
Yeah.
from something that I could not do.
Yeah.
So we all have to find that humility in our spiritual healing. Forgiveness is a powerful dissolution agent in the process.
So we ask that we receive help to forgive, and we
Well,
do it repeatedly.
I ask that forgiveness set me and so free. And I like to put my hand on my heart. I like to see them in my mind's eye at a distance.
I love
And
that.
I stream golden light from my heart to theirs. I've got a whole guided meditation. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
You can
Oh,
share
yes.
it.
Yeah.
When I'm doing the guided visualization, I'll bring people forward that I'm grieving. I got story about judgment against anyone, and I see them. I just forget. They go away. Next one comes in. It's a slideshow. And I always end with me. I always end with myself.
I love that. I'm going to put that link in the show description.
Okay.
It's like hearing you say these things reminds me that I am a part of something so much bigger than myself that I can rely on.
Yes. Yes. We need forgiveness junkies. We need forgiveness. We need people
Amen.
that are really willing, because that's the only way the world
Amen.
changes.
So beside you doing a daily practice of this powerful prayer of, surrendering the forgiveness and asking that it set you and the other person free, or you free if you're trying to forgive yourself. But what about how in the world, like if we're interacting with this person that we're trying to forgive and we're challenged? So
Yeah.
what can we do?
So this is part of the problem. It's an important part of the problem because we remain interacting with the people and the places and the experiences of which we hold a grievance against. You drive into the same workplace every single day, the workplace that you hate and you blame as keeping you stuck. You wake up in the morning with the person sleeping next to you who you hold grievances against for years. You've got stories about your parents, your children, your friends. This is why it's so vitally important to do it before your day begins. Do it in the morning, do it in the middle of the day, and do it in the evening. If you did that for 21 days, morning, afternoon, and evening, 3 minutes, it's not about figuring out how to quickly do it while you're on the field. The person who's on the tennis court and knows how to hit that ball in a phenomenal way, even though it's moving so fast, and they know how to do something that just causes a miracle for them to score. They learned how to do that through years of tennis practice. So you're not going to be an expert on the field with forgiveness. So don't set yourself up and don't try to do that. Practice in the morning, practice on your own, set the tone, and then you will experience a heightening of the upset, a heightening of the frustration. And that's the sign that you're doing your work. Stay the course. Stay the course. Eventually, things will change. You can get to a point where, right in the midst of someone screaming at you, you hold the space of love and you say, Father, forgive them. They don't even know what they're doing. They forgot who they are. They're going crazy. That's good. I'm going to hold space for them. Every one of us has that ability, but you don't begin from zero and get there instantly. You practice, and you will get there. So in the meantime, when you go into that environment, when you're triggered, let it be love yourself. When you get home, when you've got a space to breathe, then you can loop it a couple times. I ask that forgiveness set me free from what just happened. I ask that forgiveness free me at my energy from what just a trigger. Like, I ask that forgiveness set me free. Those words are working very, very powerfully in ways that you will not see in the beginning, but man, they will prove themselves. And you must be the one that proves it. Otherwise, it's just theory.
And I love that. Not only to me does that speak to healing through forgiveness, it also speaks to getting more connected with your spiritual essence and life.
Spiritual awakening happens when you realize, oh, I'm not these thoughts.
Mm.
People believe they're their thoughts. People literally believe that's who they are. That's why it's so painful. Buddha's awakening was simply he became declutched from the mind.
Yeah.
His awakening was simply, oh, I'm not any of these thoughts. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, you just remind me every time we have these conversations, you remind me that I'm not in it alone,
Mm,
And I think that can be a default for so many of us that,
yeah.
have wounds and have traumas that we have to constantly be reminded. And I love the idea of like really putting in a practice because it's like you reminding yourself.
There is a way that we're alone in our doing our work. We need each
Yeah.
other in the support of it. But yeah, you're going to be sitting there with your eyes closed by yourself doing the forgiveness, and you're going to face those demons
Yeah.
and those triggers that you've been running from. You're eventually going to turn right at them and you're going to be able to say to them, you don't own me anymore. Let this be
Yeah.
forgiven. That's going to be where you're going to go to ultimately with this commitment.
Mm.
And you're going to discover the deepest truth. Like, on the spiritual level, you are so not alone. Like, you never, ever, ever.
Yeah. Then that means I'm not alone. I don't have to figure it out myself because I can't.
You don't have to do any of the heavy
Love
lifting.
that.
You don't have to do any of this. I mean, the unbelievable support from this universe for you is beyond our ability to allow.
It's like the practice of this mantra and the dedication to believing it will work.
Yeah.
Because when you're dedicating yourself to an exercise or a practice, you're doing it because you're saying, I'm going to give this a chance to work.
Yeah, and allow it to draw into you. Like, something else I want to mention, Suzanne, is the practice of, it's called Ho'oponopono.
Oh, yeah.
So there's 4 simple statements. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
Mm.
And you hold a person in your mind and heart and you close your eyes and you say that to them. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for what occurred between us. I'm sorry for what I'm making up about you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Please forgive me for my part
Right.
in this. Thank you. I need you right now as my reflection to show me what my patterns are, what my stories are, what my
Mm.
fears are. Thank you because you're my reflection
Mm.
for this. Thank you for that. And I love you. I love you because love is what you are. Love is what I am. Love is all that there ultimately is. So there's a lot more info inside of each one of those steps. You don't need to know them. You just do the steps.
That's incredible. And I love the thank you part of, and once we get through something, we can look back and go, that was triggering in me something that I needed to
Yeah.
see. And
Oh,
I couldn't have seen it unless that person triggered it.
the darkest angels along your path are the ones that are moving you along. They are moving you along, baby. All you're really seeking is your own love and your own
Oh,
acceptance. That
yes.
is the truth. We're
Yeah.
seeking it in all these external ways.
We're looking for the other person to make us be legitimately okay to ourselves.
Yeah, it's a setup. It's a no-win equation.
It's like, I need you to accept me so that I can accept me.
Yep.
And
Yep.
because you hurt me, you're giving me evidence of why something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
Just hearing you say this, it's like I could look back on all of my wounds and just be like, I'm holding that one because I'm still angry that it made me feel bad about myself.
Yeah.
And then that one. And do you think we're doing that because it's like, you made me feel bad about myself, and now I made this meaning of like that I'm crappy. And instead of like saying that I'm the one who's actually agreeing with that idea or believing that something's wrong with me, but I'm blaming it on you.
I think we're blaming it on the other person because it's easier.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's a fuck of a lot easier to just make it that I'm not living my full life because of this. I'm not doing this because of that.
Yeah.
Because this happened when I was a kid. It's just easier to have
Yeah.
stories, but and it's not easy to be in your own power in our
Yeah.
current culture. But there's a point where you're like, I can't do that anymore.
Or just admit that you're afraid
Yeah.
and do this, but I'm scared. And I'm just going to say it's because of that guy.
Blaming and holding people hostage, there's a big payoff to it.
Yeah. And that is, you don't have to go outside of your comfort zone.
If it's someone else's fault, then you're free.
That's right. I could just be, I can't do anything about it because
Nope.
Bob is a dick.
Exactly. Exactly. So I say to people, well, then send Bob to work with me, pay for his sessions because I need to fix Bob. And when I
We
fix,
can't do anything with you.
and then when I exactly when I fix Bob, send me the next person. This is the evolution that we're all on. We got to shed these ways of thinking about. We got to shed these stories because there is a higher way for us to love each other, relate to each other, care about each other. There's a whole new paradigm of relationship that is being birthed through the healing journey that we are on. It's leading us to something so much more fulfilling.
I believe that. I
Yeah.
do believe that. So forgiveness is an everyday practice.
It is my number one spiritual practice.
It's
It is
huge.
that, and every day there's 1,000 reasons to forgive. Like I don't need to think past the day I'm in, at times. Both of us have fondness for one of our teachers, Edwene Gaines.
Yes.
And she used to say, forgiveness, how do you know you've done forgiveness? When you're done breathing. Like that's
Yes,
her theory on it.
exactly.
I kind of like it. I'm like,
I love
okay,
it.
yeah.
What an absolute pleasure and joy to talk with you about this incredible subject.
Thank you.
And I'm sure anybody listening, their minds have been blown.
I love you so much.
I love you so much. Okay, friends. So I've asked, and what did we learn today? Well, we learned that forgiveness is about getting you free. It's about letting go of the emotional equivalent of hoarding 200 pounds of other people's bullshit in your psychic garage. It's about unclenching your jaw, your butt cheeks, and your inner monologue that's still mentally giving a piece of your mind to someone from 2007. And at the same time, if you're still mad, that's cool. If you're not ready, that's okay. But maybe, just maybe, you can try one little thing. Ask to be willing to forgive. And if none of this landed and you're still like, hell no, forgiveness is for suckers, that's all right. You're still invited to the party. And you can come and rage eat snacks and side-eye everyone from the corner. We still love you. Huge thanks to my friend Rev Mark Anthony Lord for dropping the wisdom, truth bombs, and spiritual mic drops like he does. I will leave the link to his guided meditation on forgiveness in the show description. Anywho, this has been the Spiritual Shit Show podcast. My name is Suzanne Soul, and now if you'll excuse me, I need to go forgive myself for something I said in 1993. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Roll it, Buttercup. No, it's okay. I forgive you. But roll it now, okay?